Full moon salutations, dear ones. Tonight is the pink supermoon in the sign of Libra, the sign of the zodiac that is about justice, balance, preservation of that which serves all. And every full moon opposes the sun. The Aries sun is the time of the I am consciousness. And Libra is all about who we are in connection with the other, in relationship with the other. A relationship is a relay between two beings, between two people. And this particular supermoon, which is the biggest moon of the year, the closest one to Earth, which means it's going to magnetically resonate with us as watery beings, over 70% water. It's going to resonate with us in a very particular way. And this whole lunation is truly, truly about going from me to we, from this I am presence, with the sun emerging in the first sign of the zodiac. The rebirth of spring has fully taken place. And as I really felt drawn to connect with when I put out the vernal equinox forecast, which you can see on my YouTube page as a video, I spoke about birthing the new earth. And it's such a collective awareness right now for each one of us that we are birthing the new earth. I've seen this concept popping up here and there as I scroll through social media, which, to be honest, I don't spend a lot of time on these days. I'm on less and less, scrolling less and less, and really becoming more committed to coming back to center, to being refined in my own art, to really honing my own unique voice and not taking in as much content from others. And that has been a real commitment of mine for the past year. It was early on in 2019 where I just felt like I had to shut down the noise. And it's hard to say that because there are so many beautiful people out there creating such important content, and perhaps you're one of them. And I wish to say that I honor so much of the content that's being put out there. And as a creator myself, I am so grateful for those whom are drawn to my content and who, are committed and connected in this community. And if I didn't have those who were receiving the content, it would make it really hard for me to not keep creating. But as a creator, there are times in our lives where we really have to shut out other forms of content and create from within. And in my own journey, I've been in a place of deep, deep seeding for the past year. And I feel as if I'm pregnant in a certain way and getting ready to birth some major creations, which is absolutely true because I'm in the process of writing a book and I'm in the process of launching a podcast, and I'm also committed to really revitalizing my commitment to visual art once more. You may not know this about me, but my artistic career or journey really began through the visual arts, and painting and drawing and sculpture, particularly with clay and also large-scale installation art, are some of my favorite things to do. And those are parts of myself that have been really dormant for over a decade now. So at this time, I feel extremely pregnant with potential. And I share this with you because perhaps you too are feeling this way. And with this Sun in Aries consciousness, it is about really knowing who we are, being instinctual in our connection with self. There's a primal, fiery, spiritual knowingness. It's very dynamic. And that's the overall energy we're in with the Sun in Aries, which the Sun will be in Aries until about May 19th when the Sun enters Taurus. So this full moon emerges out of this portal of having gone through spring equinox, having begun really to birth this new earth, and sitting with the reality as a collective, as a human collective on planet Earth, sitting with grief, sitting with the lungs, looking at this COVID virus that impacts the lungs of human beings so deeply, while at the same time consciously noting how we have impacted the lungs of Mother Earth, particularly through deforestation, particularly with the rainforest. And we know how essential these forests are for our Mother Earth, for her ecosystem. And as children who are part of her ecosystem, when we strip away essential elements, like a whole network of trees, there are ramifications, there are consequences. As this astrology, this trilogy of 2018, 2019 that's culminating in 2020, this deep Capricorn work that is asking each one of us personally, ancestrally, in our communities, in our nations, in our global world, to look at the foundations of how our lives are built, and to be willing to dismantle that which no longer serves. And if we are not willing to know that these planets are so magnetic, are so wise, Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn, the asteroid goddess Pallas Athene, they've all been traveling through the sign of Capricorn in 2020. And Mars has also made his journey through Capricorn and is now in Aquarius. And these planetary beings are wise in the sense that if we're not willing to take the initiative on our own, they will create a magnetic pulse that will force us to. And so this grief in the lungs, grief is an emotion that if we do not allow it to be expressed, it gets stored in the lungs. The season of fall is such a beautiful time of year, particularly if you live in a place like New England, where the leaves just have these dramatic shifts in color. And fall is ultimately about death. It's about a willingness to shed, to let go, to dissolve. And if we do not surrender to the natural process of death that occurs in every human being's life, because we are constantly dying and we are constantly being reborn, we will develop grief. We live in a culture, Western culture, American culture, that has a really hard time working with the emotions of grief in a healthy way. We tend to live in a culture that likes to suppress it, that likes to hide it, that likes to sweep it under the rug. And when this is done, it becomes out of hand. It becomes out of control. And ultimately, our collective global world doesn't know how to honor death and grief. There are cultures, there are traditions that still honor death and grief, but the impact of the Western culture has seeped into so many other parts of humanity that honoring process has really been swept away. And so we are now facing a pandemic that is demanding that we sit with these aspects, these parts of ourselves. We are in a time of shifting from different levels of consciousness as a collective human species, from this three-dimensional, really rooted in the material world, to this four-dimensional, rooted into this consciousness of love over fear, yet still very much aware of the duality, and this 5D consciousness that is tapping into the quantum field, that is a human being up-leveling with spiritual maturity, with a newfound mastery and a willingness to take on the role as creator, as full stewards of our lives. And so on Saturday, April 4th, Jupiter and Pluto met up in the sign of Capricorn at 25 degrees. And they met up on this day where, when we add up the numbers, we have a portal of 444. This is 4 multiplied 3 times, all about stability and process and the building blocks of creation. This number 4, when repeated, is a form of mastery. And this 444 portal opened up this full-on gateway, this emergence of this new earth, just 2 weeks after Saturn went into the sign of Aquarius. And so this age of Aquarius is becoming fully realized in the year of 2020. We're opening gate after gate after gate. And as we open these gates, each one of us, as a hologram for the collective, we have an opportunity to step through the gates. And it is up to each one of us how we choose to approach the gate, how we choose to walk through the gate, and how we choose to be once on the other side of that gate. And we're preparing this year as a collective consciousness, we're preparing for the Great Conjunction, which happens in December of 2020. It's something I've been speaking about in a number of my talks and offerings and workshops for the past year. And this Great Conjunction is when Saturn and Jupiter meet up at 0 degrees Aquarius. Again, a huge, masterful opportunity for humans to really own this age of Aquarius. So with 444, we have begun to lay down the template, the foundation for this new earth. We are building as a global community, a new earth alliance. And this coronavirus has such a unique offering because it is impacting the entire globe. It is making us aware as humans how interconnected we are, how delicate and how sacred this web of life truly is. And when we break down the word corona, it connects with crown. When we think of the crown, we think of the crown chakra, this chakra that connects our highest source of consciousness with the God source, the source of divine creator, the source of cosmic consciousness that reminds us again that we are a human family and that the lives we live here on earth not only affect one another as human beings, they have a ripple effect that go out into the cosmos, a reverberation. So we're building this new earth. We're building this earth alliance. We've walked through this 444 portal. We have crowned ourselves. We have crowned ourselves in our royalty as queens, as kings, as Raj beings, royal beings. Only you have the sovereign ability to crown thyself. When you crown thyself, you are willing to place upon your head the symbol of divinity, that you serve the divine, and in turn you serve humanity. So as we go from me to we in this age of Aquarius, we serve humanity. And this whole year, we know with this astrology, with Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, and Capricorn, and yes, as I'm recording this in honor of this Libra full moon, Saturn is in Aquarius, and Saturn will go retrograde, and Saturn will go back into Capricorn in July, and Saturn will not go back into Aquarius until December 2020, December 19th. And then on the 21st, Jupiter and Saturn on winter solstice portal will open up that age of Aquarius. So this collapsing of time and space that we are all experiencing, it is a new continuum. It is uncharted territory, and each one of us is perfecting our own diamond mind consciousness as we sit in our physical distancing, in our nests, in our caves of creativity. We are perfecting this diamond mind consciousness. We are being asked to wake up in all the ways we have been asleep at the wheel, where we have put too much value on the things that are not important so that we may value the things that are important. And we have just had Venus enter Gemini last Friday on April 3rd, and Venus will traverse the sign of Gemini for 18 weeks. Venus will go retrograde in the middle of May. And as Venus goes retrograde through the month of June, she is asking each one of us, what do you value? What do you value? What do you value? What is your currency of creation? How do you spend your time? She wants us to be fully aligned. So the first half of this year of 2020 is so focused on getting aligned with our values. Every single thing you are doing, you're placing your energy in, you're placing your money in, needs to be in alignment with your values. As we go from this me to we consciousness, it is non-negotiable. And as we get into the latter part of the year, into the fall, when Mars enters Aries, Mars will be squaring these points of activation through the sign of Capricorn that Jupiter and Saturn and Pluto have been going through. Mars will be squaring those points in Aries, and the rubber will really, really meet the road then. So please, my friends, utilize this time to get aligned as we sink in, as we anchor in deeper in this me to we consciousness, full Aquarian consciousness. How may I be of service? The full Libra Supermoon is asking each one of us, as it is the biggest and is the brightest supermoon, as we look at the ultimate of polarities of the I am consciousness and of the we consciousness. Libra is the scales. It is the archetype of the partner or the peacekeeper, the diplomat. It is the archetype most associated with the ancient Egyptian goddess Ma'at, who has the feather, and it is with the feather that she weighs the heart to judge what kind of life one lived. And it is through the heart that all truths pass. In the ancient Taoist belief, the heart is the one organ in the human body that is a time travel device. I talk about this in my Venetian love notes that I send out every Friday. I talk about this so often because the heart is literally a time travel device. Our hearts are so powerful, and our hearts teach us about our truth. They teach us about what we really care about. And our heart, how we digest our lives, our emotional experiences, goes through the heart. And that is what is weighed, is not only the kinds of deeds and actions we took upon the earth plane, but did we really digest? Did we really learn through our deep connections with others? So the sign of Libra is about cooperation and collaboration. It is about the mental realm, communicating concepts, and is ruled by Venus, goddess of love, of beauty, creativity, art, harmony, sensuality, relationship. And Venus is so much more than this goddess of beauty. She is about that which we really hold important. Beauty is also quite often misunderstood. Beauty is not about being pretty. Beauty is about really standing for that which we believe in. Beauty can be fierce, and beauty is about our freedom, our sovereignty, how we connect, how we cooperate with the land, what we love, what we value. And so this is a beautiful time to be going within, to be going to the earth, to lie down on the earth, to place your hands, to place your feet upon Mother Earth, and to ask yourself, what part of nature do I love? How can I be its ambassador? How can I protect that which I love? How can I cultivate that which I love? How can I make friends with Mother Earth? This full moon, as it is conjunct next to the sun, we are invited to think back to the last Libra new moon at the end of September and those intentions, those seeds that we cast, and to check in on them, to check in on how those things are growing and what needs tending to, what needs more water, what might need to be pulled up and transplanted or composted. There's a vulnerability that we need to claim as we dig deep to know thyself. And to also be willing to see the impossible, to flip a switch in that quantum field of reality, and to go from the impossible to the I am possible. So this moon is also conjunct the asteroid goddess Juno. There is a call to partnership. What are we partnering with? What do we value in partnership? What are we willing to stand for? What are our boundaries? How do we show up and respect and honor others' boundaries? And there's a lot of really interesting asteroid goddess themes happening in this chart. Venus, which is so, as I've been discussing, she's about to go on this major retrograde journey, and she's in the sign of Gemini, all about duality and love. We think of the archetype of the lovers and the tarot and the twins. And Venus in Gemini, is conjunct Vesta in Gemini. And so there's a theme of really being devoted, like really being devoted to that which you love and that which you value and that which you care about. And there's this beautiful trine. It's a wide trine, but it is a trine between Vesta and Juno. And so there's a story about our devotion and our partnership, and these parts of our lives really need to be congruent. They need to be in authenticity. That is what this work of Saturn and Pallasthene and Jupiter and Pluto and Capricorn have been demanding, the karmic south node as well. Like, let us be in our authenticity, and wherever the foundations have not been built on truth, let us be courageous and willing enough to dismantle them, to till that soil, to stir it up and to rebuild. Because when we are willing to commit in that way, then we build with that 444 portal on a solid foundation that is true, that is built to last, that is built for that diamond mind consciousness to take root. And the sun in Aries that is opposing this full moon is also conjunct the asteroid goddess Aries, and she's such a main player in our astrology this year, bringing in that discord, disrupting the status quo, disrupting global business, disrupting each one of our daily lives so that we are willing to do this work. And the moon is also trine Ceres, the goddess of earth in Aquarius. How we nurture and tend to the earth, but also being willing to think outside the box, to look towards the future, to find ways to utilize technology so that it serves and nurtures humanity versus harming humanity, versus harming the earth. So we're building this new earth. We're committed to right action. Mars and Saturn conjunct in Aquarius, committed to right action that serves humanity. It's a powerful time to be human. The nodes of fate squaring Chiron and Black Moon Lilith. Again, something I've been speaking about in our astrology that's been happening since February is Chiron and Black Moon Lilith in Aries, really stirring up that wound with the divine masculine, the wound with the divine feminine, looking at the shadow parts of self, being willing to integrate the places where we want to collapse, where we want someone else to come in and take care of our mess, where we are codependent, and looking to those places and those spaces and getting really honest and being willing to go deep to the root and do the work for ourselves, by ourselves. And of course, when it's appropriate, we call in a guide, we call in someone to help facilitate that space for us. However, ultimately, each one of us is responsible for our own cosmic evolution. We're responsible to walk through these gates ourselves. It is up to each one of us to do the work. So with this full moon in Libra, as we go from me to we consciousness in a whole new way, as we're building the template for this new earth, may you call in your higher self with prayer. May you live in gratitude as a form of living prayer. May you know in your heart, however challenging things are right now, whatever is getting stirred up, may you know that every smile you offer is a direct achievement. Each morning, a new day dawns, and may you look to the east as the great eastern sun rises, and may you find a way as you tap into your highest, holiest self to give gratitude. May you live knowing how to cultivate, how to create ceremony. And ultimately, may you circle back again and again to how may I be of service, knowing that the age of the guru is dead, that there are no more opportunities to look outside for the answers, that each one of us is free falling. And eventually, the free fall will be complete, and we will rise like the phoenix. We will break through this time of radical transformation. I send you so many blessings during this potent time as we birth the new earth. I am here to be of service, so please reach out if you're looking for support. And I'm so grateful that you circled up with me in honor of this most potent, powerful Libra new moon.